What's up, guys? We're gonna 𝗨𝗏𝗘, and today I want to show you guys a trick you can use to kind of make your 808 sound more interesting, or your patterns rather. So first thing is first, I want to at least let all the intermediates or beginner producers understand that your 808 is a instrument. Okay, now I know people don't say it is, or it doesn't seem like it, but it is. At its core, your 808 is a sub. A sub is a sine wave of some sort, right? Or it's a melodic element, right? So this is what your 808 would sound like in a higher octave, but when you go lower, you get that subbiness. And then typically when you create an 808 from scratch, you would implement a kick to give that bounce in the beginning, or you would do some pitch bending, or however, what other techniques you want to use. But typically those are two elements that you would have to create an 808, which would give you that bounce. And of course you would edit it and put effects, right? So with that being said, your 808 is a melodic element, right? So you want to treat your 808 like a bass. So you know, in rock music they have basses. Basses are pretty much melodies. Like the bass line is a melody itself, so you want to play it like that. So typically I'm gonna grab a scale real quick just so we can have an example. I'm sure all of you, and even on this channel, I've done bass lines like this before, right? Well, we could do something like this real quick. Typically this is what your bass line will look like. So if you're someone looking to get out of this type of bass line, and then you know you go down 5, 1 2 3 4 5, well, I think I did that right. Wait, 1 2 3 4 5, there we go. Right, so if you want to get out of that, I'm gonna show you how to do it. So we're gonna take this and we're going to go back to our bass, and we're literally gonna play this like a guitar bass. And this is how you would start all your beats. So you could do it like this if you want it to be easier, or you could automatically put it in those spots, but let's just make it easier. So what we're gonna do is use our chord. We're gonna make a chord backwards like this, and you don't need to do this. I'm just showing you the easiest way to do it. You make a chord and then you split the chord up. And it doesn't need to be exactly like this. If you want your bass line to be like this, if you want to make something more interesting, or you want to experiment with the notes, you can, right? But if you want something more melodic, you can just maybe make a chord back from here like so, and then just put them in those spots we would for our 808, and then you could just throw something like that. And I'm just take a second to pull these out. So now we have a bass line, right? It's not the typical bass line you would use, because we stopped thinking of it as just a drum. We started thinking of it as a melody itself. So what we can do now is, let's do something like this. Control L it, pull it over, simplify this. And then copy it over, pull it down, simple as that. All right, and that's pretty much what you do. So what I'm gonna do now is actually just literally apply this. I'm gonna cut it here so people can, you know, go through the video and the chapters and all this stuff. But what I'm gonna do is copy this to the 808, and then we're just gonna build a melody right here. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and actually build our melody, since we understand how to make interesting bass lines. And of course this will work on our 808, because remember, the 808, it has a kick in it, or a perceived kick, but at the end of the day, it is a sub, which is a melodic element, a synth, and it could work here, right? And if you really want it, we could just literally make a beat right now, right? You see it works automatically. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this real quick. So we're just gonna mute that real quick, and we're gonna make a melody. So we're gonna be using this sound here, okay? And literally, well, first let's tackle this. How do we even build a melody from this, right? How do we build chords from this? Well, you take the first note you started with and you build a harmony off of it. How do you build a harmony? You put a fifth. So a fifth, you take the note and you go up 7. Y'all should know this already. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it. That's literally it. Or you can go up to stamps or whatever you have in your DAW and click 5th and chop that down. So it's the same thing. We just do this here. And then we can just be lazy and chop it over because we know it's going to sound good. And then you can take notes in between. Let's do something simple and make a melody that way and just copy it all the way over. It's that simple. And it already sounds good. This is the most trashiest melody ever, right? Like, and it sounds good. And then we can take this sound, little flute we grabbed here. Same thing, but now let's change the rhythm. The rhythm is what makes it sound a little different. So let's take the same notes, and just change the rhythm. So now we're just gonna do something like this. And then over here, we're gonna Control D and just move everything over. I'm trying to do this fast because I really don't want this video shouldn't be that long. Just making a decent little pattern. All right, let's listen to it. And of course we can add effects and stuff. So that's what we'll do next. So let's go ahead and add some effects to this, and then we can go ahead and throw down the drums to get an outro beat. All right, so now we're gonna go over the effects. So I didn't add much here. I just kind of did the most basic stuff you could do. So with the main melody here, which is this one we made, I just put a halftime, 1 bar, regular halftime. I didn't really change anything. And then I put a Valhalla verb or reverb on there. You can add whatever you want. Put it to 35%. That's pretty much all I did. And this is what it sounds like solo. And you can obviously see the mixing I did. I don't think I need to explain like the EQ that I did and like the, you know, the regular stuff like the leveling. And then for our flute, I just added my own little portal preset here, counter wobble. And it just, I don't know, I just like the way it sounded. So I'm gonna turn it off and on. Wait. And it gave it that more dark vibe. And then for the bass, simple stuff here, just boosted some of the lows, took out some of those highs, and leveled it. So those are the effects. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and do the drums so we can have an outro beat and end the video. All right, so let's go ahead and do our drums. So what I like to do with the drums is I like to put these at 64. That way we have a perfect loop and we don't have to worry about like, oh, you know, going in here and doing it manually. We can just loop it automatically every 4 bars. So for the 808, first I'm gonna take this, and if you want to keep it like this, you can. If you want to mess around with something like the art, but I'm gonna just keep it low just because I like subbier 808 patterns. And then we can just go in here and just make simple little 808. And I like to double my kicks like so. Copy them over, and then we can just, you know, change this as we need. And we just want to switch it up a little bit. I think that'll be fine. All right, just to give it a little punch somewhere in the beat. Obviously we would want to mix it a little bit better, but I think this is fine. And then for this, again, this is just supposed to be an outro beat. Real simple. I'm gonna turn this up slightly. And then maybe we could have a different pattern for this, like this. If we want to use like 2 different types of drums. And then, I don't know, let's right click, fill each 2 steps. Just throw some stuff. And then think the snare and rim, I like the snare and rim together, but I like the rim solo too. I'm gonna turn it up slightly just so it punches through the 808. And then turn this down a bit. All right, so we're not gonna focus on mixing too much, so I think that's good enough. And we can go ahead and just play the whole melody all together just so we can kind of hear it. Right, and now we have a different 808 pattern for like a dark beat now, rather than your typical, you go down 5. But that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.